Hi again, friends, and welcome to our latest edition of Keeping Up with the Jackrabbits. And we are joined on this program by the head coach of Jackrabbits softball, Crystal Wood. How are you, Coach?
Good. How are you, Tyler?
Well, I'm doing well. I want to know how things are in the Wood household with the wife and husband and two kids. How's everybody doing?
We're getting along pretty good. I probably had more home cooked meals in the last few weeks than I've had in the last 6 months. Crazy with a 7 month old and a 7-year old. So if you can only imagine that, changed more diapers probably in the last 3 weeks. So I have a lot of respect for my daycare lady. So I'm thankful to have this time with my family, but it is very different.
Well, and all of us like to think that we are go-getters and we're out and about, but I know sitting still is not a strong point for you. So how have you mentally handled this?
You know, um, my 7-year old, we work out in the morning, we work out in the afternoons. We're always doing something, cleaning, moving things, working. I work in spurts so that I'm not sitting just in one spot because I'm not used to doing that. So just being hyperactive like that, I have to move around and do different things, and I'll start one thing and then do another, and it's been kind of crazy. So there might be things at times I might not remember where I put because I've been organizing a lot.
Isn't that the darndest thing around the house? You put something away, you put it so you know where you'll find it, and then of course
Oh
when you need
yeah.
it, you have no idea where you put it.
I'm like overly organized where I'm like, this is the perfect spot for this. And then I can't find it about a month later, but I'm like, I know I just saw it and I put it in a good spot, but where was that spot? So yes, I will have that problem in about a month. So
I love it. Take me back to just a few weeks ago. You're down in Florida for a prolonged period of time with the team, playing a bunch of different schools, kind of all over the place. Halfway through a bunch of games in a short amount of time, to all of a sudden your season's over.
we're coming off those, would it be 9 games? I think we were 7-2. And, we were really starting to click, really starting to play well. The weather was great. We were getting acquainted to the fields, and I felt like our pitching staff was doing well. We were actually starting to kind of hunker down a lineup that was more consistent than what we'd been doing throughout the whole like preseason. We had another day off before we were going into our set of 4 games. And so we were all kind of split up that day. On our days off, I allow our kids, if their parents are down there, they're able to go with their parents. And so I had the kids that don't have parents there. And so here I am driving the car, and they're all on social media, and they're like, they're starting to see things come out on social media, and I'm driving because we were going to go to these like outlets, and I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. We're just hearing about different things and different things happening, but like, do you think that would happen to us? And I'm like, I don't know, and whatever. And as the day progressed, I mean, right now I probably have maybe 5 of our kids with me, and the rest of the team is out and about, and so they're all kind of communicating together. And so we kind of all found out we were all very separate, and so it was really hard. And really we found out through social media and other outlets. And so we just kind of stared at each other when we all got back that night for our team meeting. And we really didn't know what to say and what to do, because what does this mean? At the time it was just that the Summit League was going to, like, the first that we had heard, the Summit League was going to postpone until the end of March. And so that gave us all like hope, like, hey, like, it's just going to be through the end of the month. We're only going to miss these couple series. Maybe we'll get to make them up. So there was a lot of that where, a lot of people were talking that way. And so there's a little bit more hope there. And then when it came out that, they were going to shut it down for the year, I think, you just saw some kids get angry. You saw some kids be really sad. Um, and some of them are just more in shock. We're like, what does this mean? Like, and so just trying to tell them that, you know, obviously right now we're down here in Florida, and it didn't seem like anything was wrong in the world, but we're just right here in this moment, and things were a little bit bigger outside. And we have to remember that there's more to life than just softball. And if they're shutting down this and that this is going to be a big deal, and it's something that we're just going to have to deal with. And we always talk about control the controllables, and this is just something we can't control.
And it is different too for your squad in that, and I bring this up because of course, announcement came out the other day. The NCAA is going to grant an additional year of eligibility to those involved in spring sports who were affected by this, such as softball. And there's again a number of logistical hurdles to go through with that. But you're in a unique situation where you've had some years, you've had 5, 6, 7 seniors. You only have one this year, but that's who this really affected most is somebody like Paige, who, depending upon how this plays out, she may have played her last softball game.
Right. Yep. And, we are fortunate. Last year we had 9 seniors. This year we had 1. So you think about that. That game, she was our DP in our very last game, and she had a base hit. I know she got, I think, walked or hit by a pitch, and she was successful. So I know, I feel good about the fact that if she isn't able to come back or she doesn't come back because she will graduate this May, she did go out on a high note, and I think she can feel good about that part of it.
But as we said with this announcement, it's not as easy as just, hey, everybody gets an extra year. There's a lot of hurdles with rosters and things like that. You got your work cut out for you making all this work in the future.
It's definitely going to be, I feel like it's going to be kind of messy with, and all schools and sports have to deal with it. It's going to be messy with, roster sizes and scholarship dollars and, incoming kids coming in thinking they're going to replace a kid that was going to graduate, and maybe they come back or a kid that maybe was a freshman that sat behind a kid that was a senior that thought, well, once they graduate, that'll be my spot for the next 3 years. So I don't know. I think it'll be very interesting, and also kids, are on the 4-year plan and then they want to go to PT school afterwards, or they want to go to pharmacy school or nursing school, and they don't have anything to do that 5th year. So I think it's going to come down to individual, talking to kids individually, trying to get their perspective and what their idea is, and, working with the athletic departments to see, how we're going to all go about this. And I know our kids have a lot of questions, but there's still a lot of gray area on the whole thing. So, until we can get a lot more questions answered, we really haven't talked much to our teams about it.
Yeah, so many moving parts to this. Speaking of talking to your teams, how are you maintaining your relationships with your student athletes?
We talk daily, probably on what we call, it's a GroupMe app. We're doing Zoom calls, team Zoom calls once a week, and then small group call, Zoom them once a week. Coach Villar's in charge of our academics, and she's been in touch with them about academics on the phone. Kiki's been popping in on talking to our kids. We have a kid that actually is from Italy, and she went back and is now just getting out of her 14-day actual quarantine. We talk about quarantining, what's a little different over there than it is to here. And
I'm glad you brought her up, because that was one of the things I wanted to address, was how this has affected her in particular, and you guys trying to maintain a relationship with somebody who not only is halfway across the world, but dealing with things at a much greater level with what we've seen nationally in the news of what's going on in Italy.
Yeah, we got back on Sunday, I think it was March 15th, and she was on a flight back home on that Monday or Tuesday, whatever day, I think it was that Tuesday. And, she said it was really eerie when she got to Rome. She gets to this area where she had to take a train for 6 hours to her hometown. And she's like, there was nobody in that area. It's usually packed like a square with all these people. And it was like her and, she was by herself, on the train and traveling. And, she's been quarantining herself, I think, in her room and working out in her garage. And really, she hasn't, I don't think, hugged her parents yet
Wow.
for those 14 days. And so once she's able to do that, then, she'll feel a little bit. But she said over there, you have to have a written note if you're leaving your house as to what you're doing. And, she had escorts taking her, from the train to her house, and they can't just leave. We have the free will to leave and stuff, but they can't do that over there. And it's definitely, obviously you hear it's a little bit worse over there. And I don't think she realized how bad it was over there till she got there, but I'm glad she made it, because, comfort with your family is always the best.
Yeah. Well, Krista, I appreciate the time. I don't want to take up too much of yours. Obviously, you got a family to take care of there at home, but appreciate it and look forward to seeing you in the halls in the very near future.
Hopefully soon.
All right, that's softball coach Krista Wood. Thank you for joining us on our latest edition of Keeping Up with the Jackrabbits.